Hello, everyone. I'm here to talk about a new book by one of my friends and students, Ayla. She's written this book called Ayla's Book of Truth, Spades. And the spade on the cover is actually part of the title, and she has similar books planned on the other four suits. So first, welcome to my channel. Good to see you.
Hi.
I know
Thank
we've
you.
talked for over a year about getting you here, but as people can see, you're quite shy.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay, but we'll get used to that. So anyway, a lot of people know who Ayla is because she's the one who's done a lot of the subtitling of my websites. She lives in Romania. She loves to study and she gets an extra dose of going through the material by subtitling. And she's also taken the time to subtitle a lot of the stuff on YouTube. So she's really volunteered a lot of her service and time to helping me. But most importantly, a lot of the books that I've read on psychology in the last 3 years that have really helped me understand some parts of astrology, those books are really all her fault. Okay. You know, yeah, I have to blame that on her. She's the one that has recommended just so many of my favorite books, such as Heal Your Wounds and Find Your True Self by Lise. I think that was the first book you introduced me to that I just totally fell in love with. So the other ones, that's my favorite, right? So she's really been a wonderful person to know over the last 3 years. She has a very long psychological background, throughout her life. She's worked through a lot of stuff, and she is not what I would call an astrologer. She's a warrior, she's a warrior that really struggles to grow and whose goal is to grow and, achieve inner growth at all costs. And the things I've seen this girl go through are things that would kill 10 elephants. And she went through them. I mean, she's really a fighter like I don't often see. So it's no surprise her first book is about spades, right? Because spades is the inner work. And so what she's done with this book, what she's done with this book is she's taken practices and principles of inner work and related them to the suit of spades, because the spades is really, it's all about inner work, your self-development. And the self-development process follows the spades. So if you're doing a self-developmental process, any self-developmental process, you're going to be going through the spades, from ace of spades to the 2 of spades to the 3 of spades. It's just the process. And of course, I've talked about that process in my videos. But what she's really done is she's taken that process and with all of her psychological knowledge, with all the battles she's fought, the experience of those battles, with her experience of helping people fight those similar battles, she's come up with this really neat book where she works you through the inner work process one card at a time, okay? Now, I'm gonna let her do a little more of the talking in a minute, but I just want to cover a couple what I think are the exciting things first. So she's just gonna have to sit there and look embarrassed until we get through that, okay? But, but some of the things I like is that when we cast readings, when we cast cards and we're doing readings, first of all, this book is not designed to say, okay, this is what spades are in a reading. That's not the purpose. The purpose is for you to have a step-by-step inner work process, okay? However, as we're casting the cards, if a spade comes up, it means the person needs to make some inner work process to navigate past that card. Anytime a spade comes up, you've got a problem in your spread and you need to navigate past it. And the inner work you can do to navigate past it is actually the inner work of that card, which she talks about in the book. So you can use this to augment your card castings if you say, okay, I want to help this person focus on the inner work they need to do because the 7 of spades come up or 6 of spades came up. And that is the inner work. But her goal with this book is to take it a lot further by offering an inner work course to accompany this book, which I need you to tell me about because you haven't told me much about that. So go ahead.
Sure, thanks. So thank you for making me cry.
My pleasure.
So this book was not intended to exist as a book. It started out as me putting some ideas together to start a course. Because what I've realized is that understanding is something, reading is something, but it doesn't change a thing until you start doing the thing, the work. This is why it's called the work. So what I did, let me find it, before this video, I did this thing. Do you know how it's called hard wiring?
Yeah. Okay.
This is wire, right?
Hmm.
So we can look at it. I'm very practical, you know. So we can look at it, we can study it, we can read about it, we can gather together and chant to it. We can film it, we can do whatever we want with this thing. But until we do not put our hands on it and start unwiring it, start doing the work and the things that we need to do, it will remain like this forever. So my intention is that I take a bunch of people and I take them through every single part of inner work that I know of according to your map, which is the cards of truth, right? The spades for now. So I take them from the ace, which is who am I? And I'm not yet sure if this is going to be just 1 week, but until a person doesn't make the effort to understand who they are, I think everything that comes after is going to be very difficult. It's like finding the very end and starting somewhere. Like think about if we say there's an animal who eats meat, right? Um, okay, a tiger eats meat, that's fine. But a cow that eats meat, that's not the same thing. That's a disease, right? So we need to understand which is that animal that does everything in the world. If we don't understand, if we don't know anything about that person, we are already starting from a point which is not stable, not truthful, not authentic. And so we arrive where? Nowhere. Okay. So this is the ace.
So basically, if a person is a cow and eating meat, they need to acquire who am I and go, wait a minute, maybe I'm not a meat eater. Because
Yes.
if they approach their whole self worth based on the idea that they're a cow that eats meat, they're not going to get anywhere, right?
Yeah.
What you're saying. Okay.
Yeah. So this is fundamental, and you know very well yourself how much this question has been asked throughout every single myth in this world. You know, who
Yeah,
am I?
it's the question we're trying to answer, really.
Yeah. And my goal is not to find the answer, but to and not really not find answers here, but get into the habit of how is it that we look for the answer? What stands in the way between us and the answer that's really here? Because you are you. You cannot sort of go somewhere to find yourself. You are already there. But something seems to stand in the way. So this is my first focus for the course.
Yeah. And if I could
Um,
say one thing, but in a second, as you know, I just wanted to clarify for the listeners is that, who am I? We can't answer that with our minds. We actually discover that in our bodies, in the sense that all the things that are telling us that we're a cow that eats meat, we're a brave person who's scared, all these false ideas that we're being told are actually lodged in our body as traumatic memories. And so a lot of discovering who am I means navigating past those traumas that are actually stored in our body. And that's why the suit of spades not only has to do with your personal growth and your psychology, it has to do with your body. It is the suit of your body and your health. So really, when you're starting this process of self-work, you really have to navigate past these traumas that your body has remembered, that's lodged in your cells. And a lot of the techniques she does, that she talks about in the book, and a lot of the focus is this body awareness to navigate past those things that are really our biggest traps. Our biggest traps are actually stored in our bodies. And because of that, the one book that you told me about by Lise, Heal Your Wounds and Find Your True Self. Well, in that book, for people who haven't seen it or read it, your body type shows you your wound. Like we can, see your body and we know your wound because your body grows in accordance with that trauma, believe it or not. Okay, so I just wanted to clarify that. Go ahead.
Yeah, so actually you've explained a bit the next step, but I'm gonna take it back a little bit just to give the first 3 tools in the book, which obviously one is what I call contemplation. I don't like to use the meditation word because it's been overused and it doesn't mean anything anymore. Which serves to position yourself apart from anything that is happening, including your actions and your thoughts, right? To find the gap. The second tool is to follow your breath without pulling. So you do not maneuver it in any way. You just are present with your breath, and then you are going to see that every single trigger that appears towards you has a correspondence in your breath, where it manifests, how fast, how slow, whatever, right? So that's the second tool. And the third tool is one which I was reaching for because I have another prop here. I have a lot of them all over my computer. My clients know about them. Not sure they know about this one, but I think they do. So this, right? This is one of my favorites. Obviously, I have more female clients, right? So the third tool is a dictionary. Because with a dictionary, you are not going to look at this thing and say this is something that's gonna transform into the Prince Charming, which you will laugh, but not only 5 years old girls will say that this is a Prince Charming. Most of my clients will say this is Prince Charming, and if I kiss it long enough, it's going to be my Prince Charming. Right? So what I mean to say is that when you name things and when you see that this is terracotta thing that is painted, that has a form of a frog with a crown on its head. So when you define clearly what you are seeing, so from where you have found yourself through meditation and breathing techniques, when you describe things clearly that are in front of you, then you can solve cognitive dissonance, which is a process through which we have some sort of views of life, and we do totally different things out there. Yeah, so we have an idea that we are a good person, right? And we do not see that when we go to a hotel and grab the glass, we are stealing, right? Until we name that, okay, I went to a hotel and I stole the glass. This is basically what I did. This is the reality of what I did, and this cannot exist with the internal reality, which says that I'm a good person and an honest person. So as soon as we define terms very clearly, we see where we take actions that are not aligned with us. And this is where the pain comes from. Because when you do something that is not in alignment with who you want to be with your values, that is just like pulling at yourself and experiencing pain. That's all pain is.
Yeah. So all pain in some way is doing something that's not in alignment with who you are, whether it's very overt, such as going to a hotel and taking the glasses and the towels and the
Mhm.
pillows, whatever, and get some free stuff for your house.
Yeah.
You know, in America, we make jokes about stealing the robes,
Okay.
but I
Yeah.
guess in Romania, they take the glasses.
I know.
Okay. So that's very obvious, but then there's very subtle things where we are a certain way, and then we, like, say, try to do a job that's not us, or we try to have a relationship that's not us. And those are more subtle ways that we're behaving not as ourselves,
Yeah.
Um, the analogy you gave was just such a, okay, obviously I'm not a thief, but why did I walk out with this hotel stuff?
Yeah. Yeah. Or in the case of the frog, that there's people who find a potential partner, but if they do not identify clearly what the traits of that partner are, they end up with real abusers
Yeah,
and real monsters. I was just reading some latest research. Apparently 5 out of 10 people are cluster B personalities, so really personalities that do not change, so they are abusers, right? So what I mean to say is that just in this first card, you have all the work done. If you do this first card, then it's easy.
yeah,
And every single card, I will take it every week and do exercises and practical tips. I'm very practical. I like to show people because many of us are visual. um, I have bells, to stop people on their track. I have all sorts of props
okay, fine.
simply because I, I, I myself read a lot of books and they did not help. They helped because of the information and the acknowledgement that, okay, I'm not there yet, but until I did the practical, actual work on myself, that meant that I acted differently. It didn't, my life didn't change.
Sure.
And to bring it back to the spades, it's like a diabetic, right? Let's say you and I are doctors. You're an astrologer, I'm an whatever I am, and we figure out that that person has diabetes, and we pop pills into them and to make them better, and we educate them, this is what you have to do and blah blah, and they're filled with drugs and with information and advice and everything. Okay, if that person continues to eat a blob of sugar every 20 minutes, they're never going to
Yeah,
get well, ever, no matter how many books they read on diabetes. So this is what I mean by practical stuff. And this is, I think you can see the difference between me when it started and me now. I'm talking from my passion because I know it can be done.
yeah, yeah. My favorite parts in the book, I think, was just the foundation of the Ace of Spades. Who am I really? Who am I? And then I really like the Three of Spades, which is that process of getting away from something you're not, really. That's what the Three of Spades is all about. And that's such a difficult state because we think we need and we think we want that thing that's not us so bad. And that's the stage you use the Prince Charming frog, right? For stage 3? Is that the
Mm-hmm.
frog? Yeah,
Yeah.
because the Prince Charming is this idea that I really want this frog to be a prince. I'm going to stay here. I'm going to kiss it. I'm going to serve it. And one day it'll be a prince. But really, when it comes, that's like when we say, I really want this to be what I want. And we're blind to the fact that it's not what we want. And we won't just leave it because it's not good for us. It doesn't reflect who we are. And we really get stuck if we don't cross that Three of Spades
Yeah.
card. And that was
Yeah.
one of my favorite sections in the book about just getting away from the things that aren't you. You're not a frog. Don't kiss a frog. Duh.
Yes.
You know what I
Yes.
mean? No matter how
Yes.
much you want it to be something else.
Mhm.
That's the tough
or
stage, one of the tough stages. Yeah. And there's a lot of
or
good information in here on that three of spades stage.
or do kiss it, but as long as you know that it's a frog, you
Yeah.
can do whatever you want. You can sort of do it, and because your two of spades, where your needs were met in a screwed up way, make it so that you are, it feels like your only chance is this frog,
Yeah.
right? This is your momentum of your life goes to this frog, right? But when you have the definition, and when you know that 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 your body is already telling you that that's not a need of yours, then you'll be able to see that, okay, I can kiss this frog over and over again, and something in me will relax, understanding, my body will understand that, oh, okay, this is a frog, I don't need that.
Yeah.
Because you and I can see it about another person, it's very obvious.
Yeah.
But
Everyone can see it about everyone else, right?
yeah, yeah,
Uh,
but because of the momentum of our life, where our needs were met, in a negative way, we cannot stop like this just because we say, oh, okay, this is a frog. No.
yeah.
And right.
Yeah. And then the two of spades was really great. Really, my first favorite parts were ace, two, and three of spades. And that actually, that section is almost half the book. So that's really, that foundation is so important. And after that, we have the momentum to go through the other cards. Yeah, and the two of spades, she didn't mention it, but that's where she talked about our needs getting met, and they're not always met in a healthy way. And the result of our needs not getting met in healthy ways really sets us up for a lot of drama in our lives. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I have an example actually from this period now. I live in a neighborhood that's very noisy. And when the lockdown happened, I was very startled somehow. It was very difficult for me the first day, and I couldn't understand why. You know why? Because it was silent. It was totally silent. So my life brought me into a place where I had to adapt to a very noisy environment,
Mm-hmm.
which is obviously unhealthy, but this was my need because I was hooked,
Mm-hmm.
right, to noise. When actually the environment got healthy with a much lower level of noise, I perceived it as, ooh,
Yeah.
that doesn't feel good,
Mm-hmm.
right? And we can say it with the light, with whatever it is, with a person. So our body is programmed to satisfy the actual need. So if we live in a household where there's a lot of smoke, right? That infant, that baby cannot go out and get fresh air. The body will adapt immediately so that it can breathe next, right?
Yeah.
So their comfort zone would be a smoky environment, which would be familiar their whole life, until they take the dictionary and ask themselves, what am I breathing? What am I allowing into my space? Sharply with the mind, not with this,
Yeah.
right? So sharply, what am I allowing? This, and this. What kind of person is that? Okay, they have this, and this as problems. Okay, so it's not about pulling at ourselves to all of a sudden go into the forest and not have any noise to correct our path, but just noticing, because the body knows what to do it by itself. It has a little bit of momentum. The difference is that when you fight against the smoke, for example, it's unnatural. The body fights. It's like swimming against the river.
Mm-hmm.
But when you go towards health, it's like floating more. It's natural. It goes much faster to get healed than it took to get really sick, you know.
Yeah.
So that's a bit that's an adaptation that we take in all areas of life that we never question. We have no clarity, no clear definitions, and so we think we still want that disease while our body and our notions tell us that we want to be healthy. So it's a double whammy where you're in the middle and then you're asking yourself, why the hell am I in pain? That's why, because you're not seeing clearly what's going on inside of you.
Yeah, very good. What other highlights do you want to tell us about the book? Anything else that you really want to tell us about that's in the book or the cards or?
One thing I wanted to mention, the reason it's called the Book of Truth is not at all because I want to impart any truth to mortals down there. It's just, it's just because I really have put my heart into it. I
Mhm.
really, honestly wrote everything that helped me to get from hell
Mhm.
to being stable and able to look in the mirror,
Mhm.
which I couldn't do before,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So it is the book of truth in the sense that I put my heart and all my clarity and all my studies and all my practical work into it. And I really, really hope to have a bunch of people, maximum 10, I would like, so that I can give all my time to them and cheer them into doing the same work, which I know gives results.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
great. Okay. Now, you have this book for sale as a digital book, so an ebook, and also, and that's $9.95.
Mhm.
And then how much is for this little paperback?
$14.95.
$14.95. So people who are intrigued by this idea can get a lot of, if they read those books, they can, kind of get a grasp on what the course is about. But I also think you explain a lot of things on your website about the new course. So I'll put that down in the comments section as well as with links to the book. But I think it could be a pretty exciting workshop for people to do. And
Um,
yeah. So when are you planning on
oh,
starting the workshop? Just going to give people some time to
yeah.
get
So
to the book?
for, for me to be able to understand how to, because this is organic, right? It's like the cards. It's not something that I record and I give you and bye bye. I want to be there for you. So what I will do, what I plan to do with the first 10 people, assess their expectations
Mhm.
through a mini 30 minutes encounter with me like this. And then I would like to start on the full moon in Scorpio. So that's on the 8th of
Of May.
May, I think,
Okay.
so that we
Uh,
can descend into the abyss.
So you can start in the abyss and crawl out of there.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, definitely it's a good thing to do during the full moon because right after the full moon, the moon's waning.
Mm-hmm.
And so much about inner work and really the first part, it's just all the letting go. It's not like we have anything to discover. We just have to stop focusing on the things that are bullshit
Yeah.
that we believe are us. And so it's a letting go process. And the waning moon is more auspicious for letting go. Waning moon's all about letting go. And people who have waning moons in their charts, they let go of more concepts and ideas and emotions and tend to suffer more losses. That's why the waning moon is the malefic, cruel moon. And I know both of us have waning moons, and I'm sure a lot of people who take this workshop will have waning moons. So it's a great time to choose to do that. Great.
Yeah.
All
Yes.
right. Well, good.
Okay.
Well, let us know how it goes. I hope you get a great batch of focused people
Yeah, I hope so
for,
too.
for this. Okay, well, great. Thanks for telling us about it. Okay,
Thank you. Thank
namaste.
you.
You take care.
Bye.